Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Let's talk about some more of the Epstein Elites. Let's talk about some people that are not only in the address book, but also people that were blackmailed, set up, forced to be with certain people. Because one of the things that the government says is that Jeffrey Epstein didn't blackmail anybody. Jeffrey Epstein didn't involve anybody else, right? That's why there's no list, because he didn't do anything. Well, let's talk about the Dubins. Billionaire hedge fund owner Glenn Dubin, for example, who is one half of an accomplished Manhattan super couple. His striking wife, Dr. Eva Anderson Dubin, who, if you go Google, you can find naked photos of Dr. Dubin back when she was a model. They founded the Dubin Breast Center of the Tisch Cancer Institute at the Mount Sinai Medical Center. They have 3 children, live a life of glossy luxury. Private chefs, private jets, homes in Palm Beach, Westchester County, Sweden, and a ranch in Gunnison, Colorado. But Dubin's friendship with Epstein and Maxwell ran deep. So Eva dated Epstein for a few years before she married Dubin in 1994. She was set up to marry him. And Anderson Dubin stuck up for Jeffrey Epstein after his 2008 conviction on prostitution charges, saying she was 100% comfortable with Jeffrey Epstein around my children, who were minors at the time. Not only that, but Jeffrey Epstein always said that he wanted to marry Eva Dubin's daughter, who he met when she was much younger. Like, as soon as she turned 18, that was the plan. But the Dubins flatly denied assertions by Virginia Giuffre, who in a 2016 deposition claimed that Ghislaine sent her to Dubin to have sex with her after training. There was these newly, unsealed court documents, and they contained horrifying allegations, not only against Jeffrey Epstein and those in his inner circle, but also a Swedish girl that was essentially held hostage on his private island, and that friends of Epstein's had taken her passport and phone and were demanding things from her, if you know what I mean. Friends of Epstein's had taken her passport and phone. Not Epstein. These are the people that are on the list. These are the people we need to be focused on. So these documents were released by the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, and it was related to the defamation lawsuit filed by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell. And one of the things is Giuffre's team cited testimony from a guy named Ronaldo Rizzo, and he was a former house manager for Eva Anderson Dubin. Now, per the document, again, released by the Court of Appeals, Rizzo testified through tears in a deposition that he had once seen Ghislaine bring a 15-year-old Swedish girl to Dubin's house while he was working there. Now, the Dubins denied the allegations. They called them demonstrably false, but they didn't sue anybody about it, right? So Anderson Dubin, Eva, is Swedish herself, a former model and now a well-known doctor who dated Epstein before marrying her husband. You can find her name on Epstein's private jet flight logs. They were super friendly with Epstein. And Rizzo's description of encountering this 15-year-old in Dubin's kitchen is disturbing. He said she had no passport or phone. She was crying. She had no idea how she got to New York from the island. She sat down and sat in the stool with no expression and with her head down. She was literally quivering. He said that the underage girl blurted out quickly to him and his wife, who was present, "I was on an island. I was on the island, and there was Ghislaine, there was Sarah Kellen, Epstein's former assistant, who kept a Rolodex of the girls for him. They asked me for, certain activities. I said no. I was on the island. I don't know how I got from the island to here. Last afternoon or in the afternoon, I was on the island, and now I'm here." And Rizzo asked her, "Do you have a passport? Do you have a phone?" And she said Sarah took her passport and her phone and gave it to Ghislaine, and that she was threatened by Ghislaine not to discuss this. So Rizzo's like, "How did you get to New York? How did you get to New York?" And she said she didn't know. And she hadn't tried to contact her parents. And that she said she repeated that before she arrived at Dubin's home, she was threatened again by Jeffrey and Ghislaine not to talk about anything. Now, okay. Sarah Ransom has said previously that Maxwell and Epstein kept her passport, so this is something that they did. They take the passport, no way to contact, and then they drop you off with somebody else, right? And what does that person do? So like I said, the Dubins have always denied this. But at the same time, this is Jeffrey Epstein dating Dubin, saying, I've got a guy for you. Hey, he's a billionaire or whatever. And now he's in with another billionaire. Now, how about this? I'm going to set you up with somebody else. This one, Jeffrey Epstein was playing the long game on this one. And he has some kind of obsession with the Guinness family because he's done this a couple of times with members of the Guinness family. But there's a woman by the name of Claire Hazel. Okay? She's a countess now, but she was really wanted for questioning in the wake of Ghislaine Maxwell's arrest. She's a countess, like I said, now. But back in the day, she was at Ohio State University. Okay, nothing wrong with that, but the tuition was paid for by Jeffrey Epstein. Then she married Edward Guinness of the famed brewing family in 2001. They did file for divorce here in 2021. Now, the reason that Hazel is so interesting is because she worked for Epstein in the 1990s, and she flew on Epstein's jet at least 32 times between 1998 and 2000. So that averages out to more than once a month. And remember, she got married to Edward Guinness in 2001. But here she is with Epstein between 1998 and 2000, flying on the jet at least 32 times. He is shopping her around. Yes, shopping her around. Now, one of the things is, okay, well, how do we know that he was shopping her around? Well, basically, the Daily Beast went and interviewed a bunch of people who went to college with her, and they wanted to know, did you know this Claire Hazel and stuff like that? And they found this guy who knew her and basically described Epstein as Hazel's benefactor. And the friend said he got the impression that Hazel was at Epstein and Maxwell's beck and call. It's my opinion, but at some level I kind of felt like she was being shopped to eligible suitors, which is why she's being flown around the country. And this former friend said that Hazel took him with her on a trip to Epstein's portion of Leslie Wexner's Ohio estate. And nobody knows exactly how Hazel was introduced to Epstein and Maxwell, but there she was. And she had this modeling portfolio. She had this hugely expensive Columbus, Ohio apartment. And he described an occasion when Hazel took him to a country club and had to purchase a racket and clothes for him so that he would be allowed inside. And that if Maxwell and Epstein contacted her or were in town, any other plans would be canceled because Hazel had to go be with them. And he recalled Hazel showing him photographs of her new boyfriend who had vacationed with her at Epstein's Caribbean property. And this guy said, in my conversations with her, she was looking for a certain man that was going to provide her with a certain lifestyle. Now, this boyfriend or whatever was not the Guinness guy. So she's just going from guy to guy that Epstein is setting her up with. That's the kind of thing that we're finding all the time. Now, in the next episode, I'm going to show you some more. Like David Copperfield, we're going to talk about another Guinness, Rachel Chandler Guinness, and all of these people that Epstein set people up with. Then we're going to talk about people that went to the island that we don't know their names. But we just get these little glimpses, these little things where it said, oh, so-and-so went to the island, and there was a UFC fighter on board the plane. We don't know the UFC fighter's name, but we know there was a UFC fighter. So this shows you that Epstein is actually handing these people over to other people. So how come we don't have the UFC fighter on the list? How come we're not talking about him? The government doesn't want us to. Okay, that's it for this one, you guys. I will talk to you later.